You're looking at some of his posts out today on Truth Social, out lately.
Well, as President Trump entered Erie, Pennsylvania, we enjoyed seeing crowds larger and louder than ever before. We also know that this week provides more trials and evidence for the world to see, crimes against humanity. And each day slowly pushes out another nugget for us to hold on to. Let's examine the elections, the speech, the labs, Ukraine, and so much more. Here we go, folks. Let's enjoy.
What do you call someone this week? Someone caught in a bribery scandal that made them millions, complicit in a government cover-up, and uses your government to get special deals for his family? You call them Joe Biden. And acting just like a corrupt third-world dictator, Biden has unleashed a cadre of unscrupulous government bureaucrats he controls to act like rabid wolves and attack his greatest threat, launching one of the greatest witch hunts in history. But Biden's underestimated the intelligence of voters, and Trump's support is growing even stronger as hardworking Americans come together in huge numbers to stand with the one person they know has their backs and will fight to make America great again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Outstanding ad, another new one out there for everyone. And if you want to get a hold of that, all you have to do is go in the description box below, folks. I try to put everything out there that I share in the description box below the video. So all you have to do is go below the video, scroll down, and you will see all the links that we have down there. And so I might as well just show you real quick, because I've talked about this sometimes, and folks still have questions what I mean by links below. And so I'm just going to click on one of my past videos. Here's one from last week. All you have to do is scroll below the video when you push play, and you'll notice there's links here. See the blue writing? You just put your mouse over it and you click on any one of these. You show more. You just click on show more, and it'll scroll down to all the links for different things that I talk about. And then you have much more where you can reach us on social media sites, just like that. So I just want to make sure I showed that to you. And also wanted to make sure you guys knew that the Trump Pennsylvania rally sets the record for the larger crowd, larger than Elton John, Kiss, Cher, and Alan Jackson. That's right. And all of this playing out for those that try to say that there weren't large crowds there. There's some guy named Mitch out there who's claiming that Trump's rallies aren't holding that many folks. There's empty seats. It's all make-believe. Because when you look at Trump rallies, look at this. The crowd in front of the big arena in Erie, Pennsylvania. This is what the radical left Democrats are trying to stop with their never-ending prosecutions. We won't let it happen. And that's a video from President Trump. You can just see the masses of folks lined up still to see President Trump, and it's just amazing that they would even spend that much time and effort to wait in a line for someone who supposedly lost an election with 81 million votes to the other guy. So here's another view in case you're looking at your screen. Remember when the fake media told us Trump rallies were getting smaller? Not so much. You can see from this angle, the lower angle, down by the stage, just how filled up this place was. Now, here's another one. You're not beating this in a Republican primary, neocons. You can see and hear the crowd.
Well, thank you very much, Erie. We love Erie. We've been winning Erie right from the beginning. You know, Erie.
Do you hear that? If you're listening in, can you hear it? Sure looks like a massive energy in Pennsylvania for Trump. Chuck Calestro put us out for this one. Sure looks like the majority to me. Who won 2020? There's no way that Trump lost Pennsylvania after seeing all of this. That's right. And so if you think that the enemy doesn't have a plan to try to destroy Trump, they're always looking for ways. Johnny Maga showed us that 4 days ago, Mitt Romney, the former governor of Massachusetts, announced he had a plan to stop Trump. 2 days later, Massachusetts GOP leaders announced they may change how they award delegates to prevent Trump from winning a clean sweep. Trump is the only candidate that the swamp fears. And so all this playing out while President Trump continues to speak to all of us. And here's a few clips. Here we go.
There's never been anything like this. There has never been anything like what you're witnessing today. More so than 2016, more so than 2020. There has never been anything like it. And under our leadership, it's our leadership.
Under our leadership. Did you catch that?
Today.
Can't be done by one person. It needs a collective many to wake everyone up to just how evil these folks are. And when he does that, he does the twirl. And I always say when he does that, he's just referencing what we've been told through the Intel board over and over again. When he does that, I always say that that looks like a letter, the 17th to be exact. Volunteered to join this fight. Here's somebody that put this to their common sense IQ test. We are doing exactly what we thought we couldn't do. Stare down the face of evil to what is really true. Fearless in our posture, unapologetic for our views. Able to sidestep the dribble, spun stories in the news. Ridiculous is their mission when your soul cannot be bought. We've seen inside their hell, dominion is being taught. Separated from the herd, truth seekers set the pace. This game is being played on the entire human race. Unsettled we once stood, knowing something wasn't right, grabbed our armor of God and volunteered to join this fight. Never get too comfortable inside this world we've built. We've blossomed in our efforts complacently. We'll make you wilt. Push forward every day. If you fall, reach out your hand. We're here to lift you up. Beside is where we stand. I'm never in a hurry, as it's rude to rush God's plan. Grasping as they drown information they censor and ban. Smile in your knowing. Have peace within your soul. No matter what comes your way, you know who's in control. Thank you for writing that one. That one is really good. As we play this out even more, Mike Kelly came out and gave pretty exciting delivery here for President Trump.
He's unbelievable, isn't he? With all he's accomplished in his life, why is he willing to put everything on the line again to be President of the United States? It can only be love of country. He's a patriot. He's a guy that will do anything to make America great again. But it's going to take all of us to get him there. I'm asking you to put in your mouthpiece, pull down your helmet, tighten the skin strap, and let's go out and win. Let's go win. Let's go win. Let's go. Let's go. This is Trump country. This is a Trump nation. This is your moment to save America.
Pretty amazing. Continuing to show us that this is all playing out with the numbers proving it more and more. Republican preferences for the 2024 GOP presidential nominee. Trump's at 54%. DeSantis is somehow at 17%. Pence 3%. And more. Let's see what President Trump has to say.
And they've broken the veil by indicting me with this ridiculous. These are ridiculous indictments. And all they're doing is hoping for massive election interference. That's all they want to do. They want to damage the leading candidate, by the way, leading by far, I have to say.
Yeah. Thank you for that, President Trump. And here's more. Any Republican who doesn't act on Democrat fraud should be immediately primaried.
The radical lunatic Democrats, they impeach me, they indict me, they rig our elections. And the Republicans just don't fight the way they're good people, but they don't fight the way they're supposed to fight. The others are dirty, sick players, and the Republicans are very high class. They've got to be a little bit lower class, I suspect. They sit back and they say, they have other priorities. We have to look at other things. Any Republican that doesn't act on Democrat fraud should be immediately primaried and get out.
And that fraud should be across the board. Fraudulent elections, fraudulent anything, you name it, they should be removed immediately. And as this comes out, more and more truth, we even hear his protection, President Trump, of our troops. We're sending troops to Europe to fuel their escalating conflict.
Immediately vote to block Joe Biden's recent call-up of reserve forces. We're sending now troops over to Europe to fight. We're sending troops to fuel this escalating conflict. Not a single American life should be put at risk because crooked Joe Biden has been illegally paid off. He's been paid off. This is a corrupt president. And you know what? I would have never said that. I have too much respect for the office of the presidency, and I never said that. I can't say great things about him because he's been a horrible president, but I would never say, but you know what? Now we have to take the gloves off because they took the gloves off, so we take the gloves off.
Taking the gloves off, huh? Where we heard that before, and we talked about this before, gloves off. It seems like ever since those gloves came off, when you mentioned that before, we've seen more and more things happening around this earth, and we're wondering how it's all playing out. Well, one of the things that even noticed more so, General Michael Flynn putting this out into the light, a movie will be a powerful documentary and message for all of humanity. We're about to be led out of the darkness. And there's a screenshot of a shadow or ghost in the machine. How do you go about exposing an international shadow cabal comprised of the 13 bloodline families that control over 24 national governments all over the world, including the United States, Canada, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Denmark, Australia, New Zealand, and many others? Not only control their governments, but also their media, their militaries, their intelligence agencies? The answer? Very, very carefully and very, very slowly, very quietly from within. You have the ghosts in the machines. Here's a trailer from this Into the Light documentary. Same documentary, same folks that produced the documentary Into the Shadows. Here you go.
If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle.
I jumped out of the darkness, rose into the light.
You need to understand you're being manipulated, and if you don't understand how you're being manipulated, you're never going to be able to fight it.
Premiering August 4th, 2023, Into the Light. We've got more of this playing out in the public's eye. Most folks are waking up to it, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love the Lord, to those who are called according to his purpose. That's why we use Romans 8:28 for our verse, one of my favorites. And so, as this all plays out, we're trying to pay attention to our health. We're trying to watch ourselves, what we watch, what we eat, and more. And that leads me into something that's helped me out quite a bit. And I had a long talk with the company that provides this. Here, take a listen. You know, guys, when it comes to your health, physically, mentally, and more, it's just amazing as I was able to spend some time with Field of Greens. They really walked me through this. I got the supply of Field of Greens. I've been taking it, and I tell you what, I've noticed a difference. I really have. The CDC says that I should eat 6 cups of fruit and veggies a day. There's zero chance I'm eating 6 cups of fruit and veggies a day, especially when I'm driving around everywhere. I know I should eat healthier, but I don't. And according to a massive study, and this is some of the notes that we've taken, people who eat a healthy, they eat healthy, they live longer, they have a less heart disease issue and diabetes and, less cancer. It's just Field of Greens. Unbelievable. I've done a lot of stuff as a bodybuilder, and man, this thing has been just absolutely amazing. Unlike other fruit and vegetable supplements, each fruit and vegetable in the Field of Greens, I checked it out, was medically selected to support specific functions like heart health, liver, and kidney health, immune system, metabolism. Everybody wants metabolism. So I took Field of Greens, and it's helping me stay healthy. So the biggest benefits is better health promise. Take Field of Greens. You'll have folks saying, whatever you're doing, it's working. Keep it up. You can do that or return it for a refund if you don't like it. And to help you get started, I got 15% off the first order. Your first order, 15% off. Plus, you'll get another 10% off when you subscribe for recurring orders. So visit fieldofgreens.com. It's in the description box below this video, and use promo code LT. Simple. LT. That's fieldofgreens.com. Promo code LT. So here we have the ABC News this week talking about the front runners.
Popular among Republicans than Joe Biden is among Democrats, and it's not close. Ask them about the economy. Ask them about foreign policy. Donald Trump beats Joe Biden on all of these measures.
Okay, so we had let's talk about Biden. We had the Hunter Biden plea agreement basically put on hold at the very least. Were you surprised by that?
I was shocked that we now have another month, basically, of this continuing. But right from the beginning, we knew that there was a problem. You had the Hunter Biden team come out as soon as the indictment was announced and say, this ends
over.
The investigation. And then the guy running the investigation comes out and is like, no, it's not. And then none of that was solved for a month. Now, in the hearing itself, we learned a lot about that plea deal, didn't we? There was a real disagreement over whether it was going to cover everything Hunter Biden had ever did before now or not. But in the end, what the judge actually sent them home to do their homework on was something totally different. It was about whether the judge herself is going to decide whether Hunter Biden had violated his pretrial diversion agreement. Totally unheard of, because they're afraid that a Donald Trump Department of Justice will fabricate a reason to revisit this pretrial diversion.
The Donald Trump Justice Department started this investigation. A Republican U.S. attorney is leading this investigation. So the notion that the Republicans have not had a bite at this apple is bull.
Oh, the weather outside is frightening. Dun, dun, dun. Christmas in July. We're almost done with July. But I like the Christmas in July. Anyway, President Trump lays out in detail all the scandals and corruption of the Biden cartel. I thought you guys might want to hear this. Before I played, I wanted to show you when there's cartels involved in things, you wonder how it would play out for them to be taken away. Well, interesting that July 29th, 2019, we had an intel drop with Pepe Frogs in front of Welcome to the U.S. Naval Station, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. We now have plenty of space. That was 4 years ago. Explain what happened to the country's finances and where the stolen money went. Interrogation of the Minister of Finance of Niger. So we've got, when you have corruption, you just look at Niger. Niger's finance minister is crying on television. The military gave him, get this, 48 hours to explain the lack of finances in the country. Otherwise, he would be shot. What happens? How did he do this? Ready?
So
If you're looking at your screen or you're listening in, he's crying very hard. Imagine this playing out in our country. Imagine everyone lined up one at a time, having to explain themselves for how they destroyed our country, destroyed other people's lives, and more. I mean, imagine that all playing out. Imagine other folks getting exposed, like Tafari Campbell, paddleboarding death riddle. Cops left call log reporting Obama private chef's drowning blank. Said it came from 2 miles away as they refused to reveal who he was with on the water. Yet, as you look through social media, there's new photos appearing to show Obama with bruised eye, bandaged fingers just days after his personal chef mysteriously died. Well, there's a scenario that'll make your brows furrow, friends. And that's all over Twitter sphere, the one place that they don't like us to look. You know that we got the top 10 headlines the media won't tell you this week from Terrible. 10 suspicious circumstances surrounding the tight-lipped Obama chef drowning case. Representative James Comer says President Biden used offshore bank accounts to hide bribe money. Early reports reveal Pfizer was aware of myocarditis side effects, yet rushed distribution of their COVID vaccine anyway. It's not a vaccine. It's a gene therapy shot. Number 7, Biden's DOJ drops campaign finance charges connecting their second largest donor, Sam Bankman-Fried, to the Democrat Party. Mark Zuckerberg's ex-rival Threads has seen a massive decline in users. Elon Musk suggests bots were used to inflate initial sign-up numbers. Number 5, Office for National Statistics report reveals that COVID-vaccinated have 91% higher death risk than the unvaxxed. Senators Mitch McConnell, 81 years old, and Dianne Feinstein, 90 years old, suffer senile episodes on public display, raising concerns on term limits. LeBron James' son, Bronny James, 18 years old, suffers cardiac arrest, and Grammy winner Tori Kelly, 30, hospitalized with blood clots around the heart. Biden White House FBI pressured Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg to censor Americans, and Trump to impose what? The death penalty on human traffickers when elected. Bonus, the Biden administration sent more than $100 billion in U.S. weaponry and financial aid to Ukraine in less than a year. If you appreciate this, retweet it and more. So let's go over the Biden crime cartel with President Trump, shall we?
On day one of my new administration, I will seal the border. And by the way, we want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. I will save the economy, I will purge the deep state, and I will prevent World War III, which is where we're headed. Not only is crooked Joe Biden the most incompetent president in American history, he can't even put two sentences together. Joe Biden is the most corrupt president in American history. The Biden's colossal scams, money laundering, and criminality make Hillary Clinton look like a very beautiful angel. Just think of what he's been revealed to have done in just the last few weeks alone. A really great guy, Chairman James Comer and Senator Chuck Grassley, and working with some of the finest people, they really are. Jim Jordan, so many fine people. Released a bombshell FBI document laying out a massive bribery scheme in which Hunter and Joe Biden shook down a Ukrainian energy boss. Shook him down. An energy boss, a big one, for $10 million so that, as the executive said, Hunter could protect us through his dad from all kinds of problems. Well, can you imagine if I did that one? That wouldn't work out too well. It was also revealed this week that Hunter's business partner witnessed Hunter put foreign business associates on the phone with Crooked Joe at least 24 times. Let's see what happens with that. including with the corrupt Ukrainian energy company that Joe claimed he knew absolutely nothing about. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about my son's business. My son's business? Remember during the debate, I said, what about your son's business? What about China? Nothing to do with China. They took in millions. But so much more money pours in, and Joe, he knew all about it. It was a big lie. That was the big lie. This is the biggest scandal in U.S. history and perhaps the world, and yet the media doesn't want to report on it. The fake news right over there. A lot of it. They don't want to report on it. They want Pulitzer Prize for covering Russia, right? And then it turned out to be false. They have to turn back their Pulitzer Prizes pretty soon. The Bidens got millions of dollars from Ukraine. Now Ukraine gets billions and billions of dollars from the American taxpayer. Joe Biden is compromised. He's dragging us into a global conflict on behalf of the very same country, Ukraine, that apparently paid his family all of these millions of dollars. In light of this information, the U.S. Congress should refuse to authorize a single additional payment of our depleted stockpiles. Did you see last week? Last week, he said, we have no ammunition. The United States, I rebuilt the military. We had so much ammunition. We had to buy massive storage bins for it. It's almost gone. First of all, that shouldn't have happened. But who would release that? Who would say that? That was classified information, wasn't it, huh? But the weapons stockpiles to Ukraine until the FBI, DOJ, and IRS hand over every scrap of evidence they have on the Biden crime family's corrupt business dealings. We have to know, and the public deserves to know. In addition, Congress should immediately vote to block Joe Biden's recent call-up of reserve forces. We're sending now troops over to Europe to fight.
So there you go. Just a quick list for you in case you were wondering. There's those that are going to testify against old Biden crime family. That would be Hunter's best friend. Let's see where I had that right here. Yeah, a shocking update. The Biden DOJ has asked the judge to force Devon Archer to surrender to prison to begin his sentence, right? They were stating all of that, but then today we just noticed that Hunter Biden associate Devon Archer arrived for congressional hearing despite intimidation from Biden's DOJ, ignores questions from reporters and video. Isn't that something? All these folks thinking that they have the upper hand, that they can scare Devon Archer from testifying. Well, here we go on this one.
I want to ask you about your investigation, but first, let me get to this breaking news. I have in my hand a letter from the Department of Justice that was sent to the Southern District of New York on Saturday. By the way, Devon Archer is testifying on Monday. Do you usually see the DOJ send letters like this out on a Saturday?
Never. This is the first time I've ever heard of the Department of Justice doing anything on a Saturday.
So what is this letter? Can you walk us through it? The government is apprising the court of the status of Devon Archer's appeal of his judgment of conviction, and they request that the court set a surrender date for the defendant to report to a facility. Please walk us through what this letter says.
Yeah, the letter from the Department of Justice is trying to nudge the judge to go ahead and sentence Devon Archer for something unrelated to what we're going to be talking to him about tomorrow. It's odd that it was issued on a Saturday, and it's odd that it's right before he's scheduled to come in to have an opportunity to speak in front of the House Oversight Committee and tell the American people the truth.
Okay. So, as we know that Devon Archer, even though they tried to stop him, and we saw that, here's some smoking gun after smoking gun from Wesley Hunt.
Entering the deposition phase of their look into Hunter and potentially Joe Biden's corrupt business dealings. So who could be deposed? Who are the players in this drama? We'll start with Devon Archer, who we expect to hear from today. Who is he? Devon Archer is Hunter's former best friend. We have text messages, which we talked about this morning and have been revealed, that show the extent of their relationship. I love you, man. I love you, man. Not so much love today as Devon Archer, it is expected, will reveal some of the dirty and corrupt business dealings. How does he know? Because he was a business partner in some of those deals in Romania, in Ukraine, and in China. Again, at 10 a.m. today, in a 4-hour hearing, hearing, you will hear from Devin Archer. Weirdly, over the weekend, the DOJ sent a letter to Archer saying, hey, time to report to prison. Why is that? Because in 2018, he was convicted of defrauding a Native American tribe. It's on appeal, and he will have to report to the Bureau of Prisons. It's just odd that the DOJ was working on a Saturday and said, why don't you go ahead and get to prison? On Sunday, they said, we don't mean before you're supposed to testify. All very odd. That's Devin Archer, but that's just the start of this drama. Tony Bobulinski is another character you've probably become familiar.
So now you've seen Archer. We know Bobulinski. We know others that have played out in whistleblower areas of all of this. More and more have to come forward. More have to let us know how this is playing out for the future, for all of us. And we know that we go through those spells where we know that the 2020 election was stolen. We wonder if our elections will ever go back to normal. The corruption might be strong, but even if they try to switch this out, which Fox News might put out to everyone, right? They continue to show us smidgen of truth. But I always wonder when they're sharing things what their end goal is, because we know who's running this, the mainstream media. So I'm leery on some of this information that they share, but still, it shows us that folks are behind the scenes. And Devin Archer didn't get Epstein, says Fletch 17. Elon Musk, I think we should have a PSYOP of the year contest. 8th PSYOP group said, I'll win. What is a PsyWar center called today? Cheating allowed. They allowed the cheating to take place so that they can go after those that are stealing it. John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School in 1956. The PsyWar Center and School was renamed the U.S. Army Center for Special Warfare, U.S. Army Special Warfare School. The commander, Brigadier General Will, is running it. YouTube removed video of medical misinformation for James O'Keefe, who had an interview with RFK Jr. You can still watch it on the public square. Do presidential candidates get Secret Service? RFK Jr. denied protection. Didn't know about that. What else do we have? In case you missed it, there's a shady Chinese COVID lab that was just found in Fresno County, California. Not only was the COVID virus found here, but apparently the CDC also identified HIV, hepatitis, and herpes, along with 900 lab mice, hazardous materials, and other medical waste. I would expect this in Ukraine or Taiwan, like we know about the biolabs there, but on our own soil, this is next level scary stuff. Mysterious Chinese COVID lab uncovered in city of Reedley, California. Ezra Cohen, the American people would be shocked if they knew how many Chinese, Iranian, and Russian citizens work in or in close proximity to our national nuclear labs. When we tried to put an end to it 6 years ago, the DOE's university partners strongly protested. Why? Very interesting information. Well, in Japan, they're having parliamentary hearings on vax injuries. In Australia, they're all about the lab leak and rightly blaming Fauci. Will our press ever start covering these things? There's the Weekend Australian showing you COVID cover-up, how science was silenced. Another gloves are off scenario, right? We already talked about the Pizzagate is conspiracy theory, right? Optic, but reality. ABC News reporter who debunked Pizzagate pleads guilty to child rape. We talked about that in the last video. Breaking new court filings from the U.S. Virgin Islands AG's office show that J.P. Morgan Chase not only helped facilitate the sex trafficking of underage girls by Jeffrey Epstein, but that the bank actively participated in Epstein's sex trafficking venture from 2006 to 2019. And then we wonder why in the world the banks are trying to control us and put us under CBDC. So when we bring things like this up, they can shut us down. They can try to scare us because they don't want to be exposed. Tony, things discovered by our government. Aliens. Things not discovered by our government. Epstein's client list. White House cocaine culprit. Hunter Biden's laptop. Election fraud. Interesting, huh? You can find things that are disguised, that they're going to try to throw at the earth because they discovered them. But the things that are reality, they don't want us talking about or looking at. Joe Biden to retreat to a beach compound for the next 10 days while his DOJ works to jail Trump. And Entheos lifting the veil. We always laugh when, near the end of movies, the villains tell everyone how they did everything and got away with it all just before the heroes swoop in and defeat them. Even in the old Scooby-Doo cartoons, the same plays out. However, we see that over and over in real life, there's something that compels evil to confess to the victims what they're doing or have done with a mocking, prideful arrogance. Like this one from David Rockefeller, founder of the Trilateral Commission. An address to a meeting of the Trilateral Commission in June 1991. We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years, but the work is now much more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national auto-determination practiced in past countries. And we talked about the chef and the pictures and the call logs and more from the Obama side. Folks, if you want to find out more about us, you can go to andweknow.com. That's andweknow.com. Just simply type it in or go in the description box below. While you're there, you can click on our link with merchandise, and you'll notice that we have back in stock our mini long sleeve performance sun tee and men's performance tee, both with UPF 50 plus protection. Perfect for those hot summer days. We also have these new, you'll see these hats on your screen. Very, very cool. You can go to our website, shop.andweknow.com for those. And you'll also notice that we have our book is still at $19, free shipping, and you have our new OC packs, including a book signed by LT. There's a picture of me signing several books as we got those ready for you. And I hope that you go check those out. We also have our book still available, and folks are writing in and telling us all about it. Here's more great pictures of Patriots wearing our gear.
The Sunnyside Multicultural Center. I'm here voting. Oh, I was trying to vote. I got here 5 a.m. It is 8 a.m. I'm going to be working from my car because I'm waiting on the machines to be fixed. I have watched so many cars pull up and drive away, pull up and drive away. I met a young person in line, his first time voting. Couldn't vote though because the machines are broken. I did 20 years in the military. I don't tell myself to be anybody's hero. But this is not right, y'all. This is not right. There were old people standing in line, and this isn't right. We gotta do better. People should be able to vote.
Harris County's Elections Department conducting an election. Looks like Houston. Very upset. Very difficult to watch people drive away realizing they can't vote because the machines are still being used for these elections. President Trump addressed this when he had an interview with John Fredericks on his show.
The shenanigans that went on in Pennsylvania in 2020, where they blocked Corey Lewandowski from going in, put cardboard up on windows, ballots coming in the middle of the night, all the shenanigans. What does the Trump campaign, what does the RNC have in place right now to stop that from happening again in November 5th, 2024?
Well, we're prepared for it. Now, until this stuff happened, I campaigned. I was a happy warrior. I campaigned. And then at 4 o'clock in the morning, I left Iowa and I left a couple. I think I did 7 rallies that day, if you can believe it. These were big rallies. But I went home and I watched. And the people that were running these places, now they were being led by, they were being literally hurt by thugs. You had thugs in there telling them to get out. You had poll watchers and voter watchers where thugs, absolute thugs, were telling them to get out, get the hell out of here. And, the stuff that went on was unbelievable. Now, I as a candidate, I'm supposed to go home after and watch and see, but nobody's ever seen like what happened. Now, they used COVID to cheat and various other things, but they had people in there that were bad people, and we're going to do it, and I'm going to be involved this time. The most important time isn't, in my opinion, leading up to the election. It's what they're doing with the election, the vote. And, some of these votes now last for 2 months. Instead of the old days, we had one-day voting. And, what happens in 2 months? A lot of things happen in 2 months. And we should have one-day voting. We should have paper ballots. And we should have voter ID. And you'd have honest elections. And that's what we should have.
So he brought up the COVID was how they stole the elections. Did you hear that? He slipped that one in real quick. Yep, release something, tell everybody that can vote from home, then you can take these ballots, have them filled out, and claim that he won by mail-in. And we had somebody we haven't heard from in a while on Newsmax. It's going to be biblical. Joe Rambo showed us this one. Thanks for the shout-out on your Twitter handle. EFF, the mainstream narrative, I'm here to smash it. I know this opinion won't be popular, and probably for good reason, but I want to make you think. Future proves past. We now recognize that Trump has told us about the pause that should make hindsight 2020. People think Sidney Powell let them down, but believe she is a patriot through and through. Who did the mainstream attack the worst? The answer is everyone they feared. Trump, Giuliani, Lindell, you and me, and certainly Powell. Now, I'm not saying Sidney knew of the plan, though after watching all of her hard work and sacrifice, I think it's a possibility. Each of the heroes I listed played a significant role in advancing and exposing election fraud to those with any critical thinking skills, almost as if their hard work was being used to expose not only election fraud, corruption, and dominion. It was so obvious that it was exposing the mainstream for their absolute show scramble to discredit and cover up. And what did that do? It made people upset. It demoralized them. It made people talk. It made them take action. It contributed greatly to the Great Awakening. Mark my words, people like Sidney Powell will be vindicated on the other side of the pause. Here we go.
Governor Kemp, who's been a longtime ally of the president, is directly involved because of financial benefit in the conspiracy to defeat the president in Georgia?
We have certainly been told that there is evidence of that, and it would warrant an investigation if anybody were actually going to do an honest investigation.
What more could you tell us about that alleged conspiracy? The governor's involvement?
I can't give you any more details on that now, but it would certainly warrant an investigation. If it had been reported to me as a law enforcement officer, I would be investigating it steadfastly.
I know you say you want to do your arguing in court. You are an attorney. You're not a press secretary, but you all did have a press conference last week. Jordan Sekulow said that there's going to be a filing soon in Georgia that would be explosive. Can you tell us anything? Can you make some news with us here tonight? Tell us anything new that you're going to present in that filing in Georgia.
Well, I can't say that yet, but hopefully this week we will get it ready to file.
Sidney,
it will be biblical.
Biblical. What is the state where was it the worst? From what you see and what you're alleging, what state was switched the most?
Oh, that's really hard to say. Georgia is extremely bad. We've got ballots being shredded, ballots being thrown out in trash bags, lying by people working in the center, the votes being switched, the algorithms being run. You name the manner of fraud, and it occurred in Georgia.
These are in the Atlanta area counties. Those counties, Fulton, DeKalb.
Yeah, I think the algorithm ran most probably across the country.
So more information on those elections playing out, and you wonder, will folks change their tune to what they will vote for? In Chicago, Democrats running that place, Neighbors are frustrated with migrant shelter disruptions. Will they change their voting process after watching this?
Many of these residents say they no longer have any tolerance for the disruptive behavior by those seeking asylum here. It's making them feel unsafe.
They disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us.
And their patience is wearing thin.
Let me say this. They got one more time to deal with it, because otherwise, next time they deal with it, they're going to deal with it from the streets. We're going to take over it. Nobody's going to be able to stop us from what we're going to do to them.
Much of the residents' anger was directed at city officials in attendance, including 20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, Chicago Deputy Police Chief Stephen Chung, and Family and Support Services Commissioner Brandy Kanazi. At one point, police had to intervene, breaking up an argument during public comment.
And you wonder, will these folks ever stop voting Democrat? I'd like to add to this question, were they ever voting Democrat and they're wondering how come the Democrats are in power? Will they change their minds when they notice these border policies are having a direct effect on them? Other policies being changed would be the South American nation curbing dependence on the dollar. Bolivia is the latest country opting to trade in yuan and ruble instead of the greenback. And I talked about this in an interview with folks. You think that they're going to run to other type of things and have their identity taken away. Well, people are voluntarily lining up to have their eyeballs scanned with a WorldCoin orb to get a digital ID. OpenAI's Sam Altman writes on X that one person getting verified every 8 seconds now to get their free cryptocurrency. And I believe that is in 3 separate countries now. And we had a chance to talk this over in our latest interview with Dr. Kirk Elliott. You can watch that. Sunday we played it out and we showed you these orbs and the scanning that's going on. And we talked about why they must be doing that. And what could happen was they put Minority Report, the movie, in front of us showing you can walk into a store and what will happen when they scan your eyeball. Just to show you what they're looking at, okay?
Hello, Mr. Yakamoto. Welcome back to Dad. How does reported tank work out for you?
Yep. They've already told us in the movies what they're planning on doing. Yep. Minority Report showed scanning of eyeballs. We talked about this in detail in this as the crypto conference in Tokyo. People on Tuesday, they queued up in front of a silver globe flanked by placards stating, "Orbs are here." And you can see that orb that they used, WorldCoin. Can you believe that? Well, I challenge you to go watch that video, amweknow.com/gold, if you want to reach out to Dr. Kirk Elliott, and he can help you out. It's in the description box below. Those that were working hard, worth remembering, is Italy's Matteo Salvini refusing to back down for these globalists. He says they betrayed Europe, occupied the Europe in the name of multinationals and uncontrolled immigration. Here we go. We're looking at Warsaw, Poland. We are happy to leave the ghosts and fears of the past to the others. Together we are building the future. There is no far right here. There is politics of common sense. The extremists are those who governed Europe for 20 years in the name of precariousness and poverty, who betrayed Europe, who betrayed one of the most beautiful dreams. Beautiful dreams hypothesized by the founding fathers. The Europe of nations and people, of which De Gasperi, De Gaulle, and Margaret Thatcher talked about. This Europe was betrayed by the elites and powers who occupied this Europe in the name of finance, of multinationals, of money, and uncontrolled immigration. The Merkels, the Macrons, the Soroses, and the Junkers. Okay, so that played out, and others that are being exposed would be Robert Kennedy Jr. talking with, says the function of the CIA is to provide the military-industrial complex with a pipeline of continual new wars. This playing out in context throughout these big radio shows that have a huge impact on communities that never hear things like this.
When Mitch McConnell
was asked about, well, why are we spending 113 billion in Ukraine? He said, he said, don't worry about it because that money is not actually staying in Ukraine. It is going to military contractors. It's just going over, technically going to Ukraine, but we're actually just buying, going to General Dynamics
outsourcing. Other
right.
soldiers.
And he said, so it's all American companies, and that's good for our country.
Yeah. And that's
that is their rationale. And they're over there, they're killing Ukrainian kids, so nobody here is going to complain because nobody here is, watching the coffins come home.
Right.
And so it's the perfect war for the military. They get to, re-up their contracts, and and those are the people who drive policy in Washington, D.C.
So is Mitch McConnell they?
He's part of them. Okay. I mean, Joe Biden is they.
Because when you
Joe
say
Biden is
Joe Biden,
when you say the military-industrial complex, I'm still looking for names. Like where
Victoria Nuland, Joe Biden, Anthony Blinken. Those are the people who are driving it.
Those three names.
Yeah, those three names.
Okay, so when you get in, Joe Biden will go and you'll fire the other guys? Is that
all of those. I will reorganize the CIA, and we have 800 bases abroad. You know how many the Chinese have? 1.5. The Russians may have 1. I don't know, but we have 800. And each one is just a platform for a new war. And the function of the CIA is to provide the military-industrial complex. My uncle discovered this with this pipeline of continual new wars, to fuel that, and that money is being paid by the American middle class. That's why we don't have a middle class left in this country.
Yeah, and who forget Victoria Nuland, the one that he brought up, the Assistant Secretary, Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs. Remember this statement talking about America's role in the Ukraine.
And U.S. advisors serve in almost a dozen Ukrainian ministries and localities, helping to deliver services, eliminate fraud and abuse, improve tax collection, and modernize Ukrainian institutions. With U.S. help, newly vetted and trained police officers are patrolling the streets of 18 Ukrainian cities. In courtrooms across Ukraine, free legal aid attorneys funded by the U.S. have won 2/3 of all the acquittals in the country. Treasury and State Department advisors have helped Ukraine shutter over 60 failed banks and protected the assets of depositors. And since there can be no reform in Ukraine without security, over $266 million of our support has been in the security sector, training 1,200 soldiers and 750 Ukrainian National Guard personnel, and supplying life-saving gear. In FY16, we are continuing that training and equipment of more of Ukraine's border guards, military, and Coast Guard.
So who's the war really between? Who's the war really between? Russia and Ukraine, or Russia and the United States, i.e. the deep state? Do you guys know that Victoria Nuland's husband, right here, Robert Kagan, wrote an open letter to George W. Bush 9 days after the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, urging him to invade Iraq and remove Saddam Hussein, even if evidence does not link Iraq directly to the attack, quote unquote. Looks like these two are one of the kind, psychopaths. Just as a reminder for those that don't remember them. Dr. Meryl Nass on the United Nations' latest attempt to, well, here we go. Wanted to show you these wildfires first. Wildfires in Europe. New police footage shows suspected arsonists setting fires in Calabria, southern Italy. Oh yeah, they're being exposed. So a guy rides up in a bike. He's got a drone following, and he goes in and lights fires. And they claim it's climate change, like they always do. No matter what, they want us to dish out our money for their climate change. Trans lawmakers charged with stomach-churning child porn offenses after daycare worker girlfriend sent naked photos of toddlers in her care. Crimes against children. Former Democrat representative charged with aiding and abetting the sexual exploitation of children. They called it a trans lawmaker on Daily Mail. See this? See how they word things? But what they don't tell you, it's a former Democrat representative. New Hampshire's first ever elected transgender lawmaker. They don't tell you that in this headline. has been charged with horrific child sex offenses. Lofton is accused of sharing explicit and sickening fantasies with ex-girlfriend Lindsay. We go back to that. Groves has been charged with taking images of nude 3 to 5-year-old children, and you can see how sick they are. General Michael Flynn even put out, "You're right, Marissa Hanson, 17, and every single one of those who were even remotely in the pig's circle of influence should be examined, and the hashtag Pizzagate fiasco should also be reopened and investigated. This grotesque and inhumane abuse of children must end." Code Monkey Z, your missive is spot on. There are those elites who are also involved in this despicable behavior, and this is why they fight so hard to keep these stories out of the news, as well as they try to outright ban anything that further exposes their sick behavior, such as sound of freedom. They don't want that out. And anytime these folks try to play the woke card, the woke cemetery awaits for Bud Light, Disney, Target, Ben & Jerry's. We are seeing them fall apart because we, the people, have had enough. And if you guys didn't know, again, I'll remind you, just in, a secret Chinese lab operating in California was uncovered after inspectors found a hose going to the abandoned building. Inside, they were making COVID tests, pregnancy tests, had vials of blood, and the CDC found traces of multiple viruses, including malaria, E. coli, and hepatitis. The lab was shut down immediately, but investigators still have no idea where the tests were being used. Question now is, why was a Chinese lab running in California without regulation? Did Newsom and his administration know anything about it? General Flynn says, wait, what? This begs 100 more questions. These are not small things that were discovered. The more we learn about how the Chinese they're freely operating here inside of America, the more every single American should be upset. Our government is so over the top broken, and the infiltration of China from the White House to some of California's drug houses is out of control. This is simply another example of the things we now know that we should have known. China is an enemy, not a competitor. In case you're wondering if this is continuing to have an effect on people, it is. YouTuber Annabelle Ham is dead at 22 after epileptic event. E-P-I-L-E-P-T-I-C. Epileptic event. Gone on to the gates of heaven. Why? What would cause such a thing? Why are so many young people having sudden deaths across the world? GH17 showed us more crumbs from Donald J. Trump dropping a hard signed pen by Nixon mentioning predictions. At 2:25 p.m. it was dropped. Who knows where the bodies are buried? President of the United States, future proves past predictions. You are the calm before and during the storm. And I'm going to show you this right here. President Trump puts out a truth from Richard Nixon, signed copy, December 25th, 1987. You see that? And if you look at this, it was dropped at 2:25 p.m. Well, if you go to 14:25, which is military time 2:25, follow the pin is in that drop. There's a pin being used. Follow the pin. Be prepared. Trust the plan. We are in full control. Pain. Think timing. Dear Donald, I do not see the progress, but Mrs. Nixon told me that you were great on the Donahue show. This is from Richard Nixon to Donald. And you go over to 2:25. Again, who knows where the bodies are buried? So you have the 14:25 drop and the 2:25 drop. Who knows where they're buried? Books which the POTUS just got access to. There's predictions. As you can imagine, she is an expert on politics, and now predicts, and she predicts that whenever you decide to run for office, you will be a winner. That was put together when? December 21st, 1987. If you look into that date with the blue lines, thank you G817 for making this look so clear, you will notice that the future proves the past. The past, they said he'd be a winner. You are the calm before and during the storm. Isn't that amazing how this all comes together? Pepe Deluxe, in a land where power held its sway, a corrupt president ruled the day. But justice rose with fierce might to bring truth to the shining light, sending Joe off to the sandy shore with pina coladas for 10 days more. No longer cloaked in a web of lies, his reign of deception now unties. Meanwhile, President Trump stood tall. For truth's embrace, he risked it all. To prison walls, they say he now must go. A hero silenced, but hearts aglow. As waves embrace the beach's grace, corruption's grip begins to erase, while truth finds strength to bring the chains and hope's revival swiftly gains. The beach and prison, two fates entwined. One sips delight, the other confined. In this poetic dance of justice and truth, a tale unfolds, a testament for all to hear. Let lessons be learned, let voices ring clear, for a nation united, devoid of fear. In the sands of time, justice shall stand, guiding the fate of this cherished land.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you once again for amazing insights on things that are going on, for the ability that we have to communicate with each other that you provide, for the constant answer to prayer that you give us of waking up folks, having time together with people, sharing information that would never have been shared years ago. You have allowed all this to occur to bring us to our knees, to bow before your throne once again and realize you are who we count on for peace and calm. We ask for continued guidance through this storm. We ask for continued revelations to play out. We thank you for the constant reminder that things that are going to play out will be biblical. We look forward to that day. Until then, we now continue to ask you for protection over our lives, protection over our homes, our families, our minds. Heavenly Father, we need you. Now more than ever, we need you. And so we ask for continued protection over those also that are on the front lines, fighting this battle around this earth to take out these sick, evil people filled with debauchery. We hope that it will happen soon and swiftly. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your continued support of this channel. And also, we ask for yours to hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video. We really appreciate that. And also, if you get in a moment, just head out to that store, shop.amweknow.com. We love it when you guys grab gear there and wear it around town. So, for now, this is LT saying Semper Fi, with them we know, signing out.
About where Mr. Trump's head is at, Ben. I know you and our colleague Vaughn Hilliard are looking at some of his posts out today on Truth Social, out lately.